today, and we will be in John chapter 18 and then Hosea chapters 4 through 9, and those are short chapters. But let's go ahead and get started with John chapter 18. It says, when Jesus had spoken these words, he went out with his disciples across the Kidron Valley, where there was a garden. Now, I've been up there and to this garden. It's just beautiful, and it's still there today. It's not very big, but they have the olive trees, and some of the olive trees are maybe 2,000 years old. But the very garden that Jesus was in, and it's just kind of you sit there for an hour or so and just pray. And he- good morning, Esther. They're from India. Yes, Lord bless you. And we'll be looking at John 18 here. And so they went up to cross the Kidron Valley. This just a little river was there at least. And then they head on up to the place where Jesus prayed often, where there was a garden which he and his disciples entered. Yes, Kieran, Lord bless you, and Judy. And so they're with his disciples there, but notice that uh, now Judas, who had betrayed him, so he had already left at that meal, but even before then, he had gone and made an agreement with the religious leaders to sell Jesus, to tell them where he was at, to kiss him the way they kissed in those days on the cheeks and so on, to betray him for 30 pieces of silver, the price of a slave. And then he got upset during the meal when the lady came and Mary actually and poured oil, uh, fragrant oil on Jesus' body. And he said it could have been sold and given to the poor. Well, he wanted to steal that money like he was stealing, pilfering from the offering. So, anyway, he also knew the place, for Jesus often met there with his disciples. So, Judas, having procured, notice this, a band of soldiers, and soldiers were assigned to the religious leaders, the high priest, and so on. And so, not a whole lot, but he had a band of soldiers. So, Judas, having procured a band of soldiers and some officers from the chief priest and the Pharisees, went there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Then Jesus, knowing all that would happen to him, came forward and said to them, "Whom do you seek?" Now, of course, you have to look at the other synoptic gospels to see the whole story, but Jesus prayed 3 times, and so he was up there for some time with his disciples, and they went to sleep on him 3 different times when they were supposed to be praying. But now uh, we jump into this part where they're coming up, and they answered him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am he." Judas, who betrayed him, was standing with them. When Jesus said to them, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. You see, Jesus had all the power in the world, and he wanted to, he actually orchestrated his own crucifixion so he could die for you and I. I mean, they tried to stone him several times. No, they tried to push him over a cliff. No, that wasn't the way he was going to die. He was going to die exactly like Psalm 22 says. They pierced my hands and my feet. They answered him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am he." Judas, who betrayed him, was standing with them. When Jesus said to them, "I am he," Now that's the theme of a lot of John is Jesus is, I am the true vine, I am the bread of life, I am the resurrection and the life. And here he says, I am he. They drew back and fell to the ground, just the power of the Lord, of his voice as he spoke. So he asked them again, whom do you seek? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus answered, I told you that I am he. So if you seek me, let these men go. He wanted the other apostles to be able to go. This was to fulfill the word that he had spoken of those whom you gave me. I have lost not one. Then Simon Peter, now those are the ones that he had given him, was the 11, and Judas is already gone. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant. Remember, Jesus said, you guys going to need to get some swords. And so they had gone and got two swords before when he was talking to him. And so here he cuts off the right ear of the servant. His name was Malchus. All right. And so Jesus said to Peter, put your sword into its sheath. Shall I not drink the cup that the Father has given me? So Jesus just healed the man's ear right there. And if there was any reason for them not to take Jesus, I mean,
Three, therefore the land mourn,
and
and all who dwell in it languish, and also the beasts of the field.
okay, Hosea 4. This is another, we'll get to Hosea 4 in just a bit. But if they had a reason, if they really were thinking logically, this man is powerful. He is in control. He is the Son of God. But no, they just went on. Uh, Even after he healed the man's ear. And you have to look at the other passages to see all the details. Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. Since that disciple was known to the high priest, he entered with Jesus into the court of the high priest. Now that's John. He doesn't say his name. He's very humble in his writings, and so he writes this in the third person. That means that he's writing as if he's talking about somebody else. We saw Jonah wrote his letter that way and others. But Peter stood outside at the door. So the other disciple who was known to the high priest went out and spoke to the servant girl who kept watch at the door. Um, they knew the high priest, John did personally, and so he got permission and they brought Peter in. The rest had taken off. The servant girl at the door said to Peter, you also are not one of this man's disciples, are you? And he said, I am not. Now the servants and officers had made a charcoal fire because it was cold, and they were standing and warming themselves. Peter also with them, standing and warming himself. When we were in Israel, group I went with, it was February, I think, and so it was pretty cold then. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answered him, I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in synagogues and in the temple where all Jews come together. I have said nothing in secret. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me what I said to them. They know what I said. When he had said these things, one of the officers standing by struck Jesus with his hand, saying, Is that how you answer the high priest? Well, what had he said wrong? He hadn't said anything wrong, and he just told the truth. Um, they did that when Paul was speaking as well. And Paul apologized because he said he didn't know it was the high priest, but Jesus didn't say anything wrong. He's perfect. He's without sin. And he just answered the question. Jesus answered him, if what I said is wrong, bear witness about the wrong. But if what I said is right, why do you strike me? They slapped him on the face. Annas then sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. They kept it in the family. They were sometimes Annas was the high priest. Sometimes it was his uh, Caiaphas, and so they just take turns doing it. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself, so they said to him, "You also are not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, did I not see you in the garden with him? Even though it was dark, he still recognized him. Peter again denied it, and at once a rooster crowed. Remember how Peter had said that he would never deny the Lord, and even if he had to die for him. And then Jesus said, well, no, Peter, I prayed for you because Satan wants to sift you as wheat, and you're going to deny me 3 times tonight before the rooster crows. And one passage it says twice. Well, you know how roosters crow, they crow twice together. So then they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the governor's headquarters. It was early morning. They themselves did not enter the governor's headquarters. Now, everything that they are doing is wrong legally according to their law. And I have a book, I think it's 7 ways that they broke the law just trying Jesus. Is during the night, you shouldn't do that. Early morning is considered night, so that they would not be defiled, but could eat the Passover. Now we're going to talk about that a bit. This is the Passover of the Jews. And remember, I said that if you want to have a time that they say Good Friday. Well, it wasn't Good Friday. And, it's hard for people when there's many, many people saying, religious people saying things that are not true. But I will tell you, the religious people say lots of things that aren't true. And I know it's hard for you to, just say, well, you're a little old Gary, and what do you know? No, I've studied the word diligently, and I've found that people say things in churches even though they know it's wrong. For example, saying that Mary was always a virgin. Well, we've proved and showed several times in Scripture. It talks openly about his brothers, his half brothers, and his at least 2 sisters. So Mary was not a virgin her whole life. She was a virgin when she had Jesus. You see, and you can go on like that, thing after thing, just statement after statement. And Jesus died on Good Friday. No, he didn't die on Good Friday. He died on Wednesday. So it's Good Wednesday if you want to say a statement like that. So, one time we were at a bank and a lady asked us, well, why do they call it Good Friday? And I said, probably because Jesus died for our sins. And I didn't go into all the details at that time. I just felt like at that point, she didn't need to know all the details. She just needed to know that Jesus died for our sins. But if you set me down with you and another person and we can visit and show you and look at the scriptures, I'll prove it to you. And Jesus said, in Matthew, he said to the religious leaders, uh, you want a sign? They kept asking for a sign. He had done thousands of signs. That's miracles, thousands of them. We only have uh, 51 days, I believe, of his ministry. But he was doing healing all the time during that time. He was raising the dead. Well, isn't that a sign? Isn't that a
The
miracle?
birds of the heavens, and even the fish of the sea are taken away.
Okay, let's say, let's tell. the Lord, we'll get to that in a bit. This phone, this is my wife's cell phone. When it goes off, if you're not careful, it will just keep reading for you. So I'm going to put that aside. I don't know if it's going to stop or not. I may have to turn it off. We've got other ones that we can have. But the thing is that where it was that this was a high day, and John points that out. When there's a Passover during the year, every week, and they have the Sabbath, and that starts at Friday evening and so on at 6 o'clock. But then the Passover is where they normally would kill the lambs on that very day. So they couldn't, the religious leaders couldn't go in actually where Gentile like Pilate was in there with him because they would be unclean and they couldn't take the Passover. Well, Jesus is going to die at the very time that the lambs are being killed on and sacrificed because he's the Lamb of God. That's what John said, didn't he? But I was trying to tell you that he said that I will give you the sign of Jonah the prophet, that he was 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the great fish. Okay, 3 days and 3 nights. Now you have to say, well, are all these religious leaders today lying, or are they just going along with other people? And was Jesus telling the truth? Jesus told the truth. He never lied. He always told it to the nth detail, just like he said about Peter um, denying him 3 times before the rooster crowed. And so we have that. Now we're going to appreciate all of you getting on and visiting with me, and thank you for your prayers. Now we'll get back to where we were and see. Hopefully, the phone doesn't go off again on me. The So we were at the where Simon had denied him, and then we read further, and then we got down to this. Okay, here we are at the Passover here, verse 28. But could eat the Passover, so they didn't go into where Pilate was. So Pilate went outside to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" They answered him, "If this man were not doing evil, we would not have delivered him over to you." Well, that's a lie. Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." See, he wanted them to do it, and not, he didn't like the commotion that they were causing. The Jews said to him, "It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death." Had that stopped them when they went to stone Stephen? Did that stop them? No. When they wanted to, they would stone people with even out the permission of the government. And but they're saying this because they want him crucified. They want him to suffer a lot, even though they didn't realize they'd be fulfilling Psalm 22 and Isaiah 53. This was to fulfill the word that Jesus had spoken, to show by what kind of death he was going to die. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" Now, Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?" Now, he had crucified many people, Pilate had. That's just like, what he did before lunchtime, that type of thing. It's very common during this time. And so some people think, oh, he sounds like he has compassion for him. Well, no, his wife wrote him a note and said, "Don't have anything to do with this righteous man." And he knew that they were just making it up because they were jealous. All right. My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting that I might not be that delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from this world, which is true. He came the first time to die for our sins and not to set up his kingdom. That is in the future. Then Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." And then Pilate asked this question that many people are asking every day that are unsaved. Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" In those days, of course, and today, the people are not really interested in truth. They're interested in what other people are saying and keeping up with the Joneses and so on. After he had said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them, "I find no guilt in him." Now, you have to understand again, the parallel gospels talk about how he sent him to Herod and so on. You have to read all four of the gospels to understand the whole story, which I've done before, and it's wonderful. It just makes you want to weep. But you have a custom that I should release one man for you at the Passover. So do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews? And they cried out again, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Now, Barabbas was a robber, and he had caused an insurrection and tried to overthrow the government. But no, they would rather have Barabbas released, and he always released somebody at this time. And so he thought, "Oh, this will work," but it didn't work. And so he has that on his conscience, but at the same token, God knew that he would be that one that would fit the bill for condemning Jesus, and because Jesus had arranged all of this. All right, now let's go ahead and we're going to slip to the Old Testament, and I hate to stop right there, but we're going to have to finish the story tomorrow and the next day in John, and this victorious overall on the last day. Now I'm going to see if I can get this cell phone going right here, and we can get into Hosea, and we're starting at chapter 4 at this time. All right. Children of Israel, for the Lord has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land. There is no faithfulness or steadfast love, and no knowledge of God in the land. There is swearing, lying, murder, stealing, and committing adultery. They break all bounds, and bloodshed follows bloodshed. Therefore the land mourns, and all who dwell in it languish, and also the beasts of the field, and the birds of the heavens, and even the fish of the sea are taken away. Yet let no one contend, and let none accuse, for with you is my contention, O priest. You shall stumble by day, the prophet also shall stumble with you by night, and I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I reject you from being a priest to me. And since you have forgotten the law of your God, I also will forget your children. The more they increase, the more they sinned against me. I will change their glory into shame. They feed on the sin of my people. They are greedy for their iniquity. And it shall be like people, like priests. I will punish them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. They shall eat, but not be satisfied. They shall play the whore, but not multiply, because they have forsaken the Lord to cherish whoredom, wine, and new wine, which take away the understanding. My people inquire of a piece of wood, and their walking staff gives them oracles. For a spirit of whoredom has led them astray, and they have left their God to play the whore. They sacrifice on the tops of the mountains and burn offerings on the hills under oak, poplar, and terebinth, because their shade is good. Therefore, your daughters play the whore,
and your brides commit adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they play the whore, nor your brides when they commit adultery. For the men themselves go aside with prostitutes, and sacrifice with cult prostitutes. And a people without understanding shall come to ruin. Though you play the whore, O Israel, let not Judah become guilty. Enter not into Gilgal, nor go up to Beth-aven, and swear not, as the Lord lives. Like a stubborn heifer, Israel is stubborn. Can the Lord now feed them like a lamb in a broad pasture? Ephraim is joined to idols. Leave him alone. When their drink is gone, they give themselves to whoring. Their rulers dearly love shame. A wind has wrapped them in its wings, and they shall be ashamed because of their sacrifices. You see how Israel,
the pride of it. Israel was going? Do you see how it is?
Hosea 5. Hear this, O priests. Pay attention, O house of Israel. Give ear, O house of the king, for the judgment is for you. For you have been a snare at Mizpah, and a net spread upon Tabor. And the revolters have gone deep into slaughter, but I will discipline all of them. I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hidden from me. For now, O Ephraim, you have played the whore. Israel is defiled. Their deeds do not permit them to return to their God. For the spirit of whoredom is within them, and they know not the Lord. The pride of Israel testifies to his face. Israel and Ephraim shall stumble in his guilt. Judah also shall stumble with them. With their flocks and herds they shall go to seek the Lord, but they will not find him. He has withdrawn from them. They have dealt faithlessly with the Lord, for they have borne alien children. Now the new moon shall devour them with their fields. Blow the horn in Gibeah, the trumpet in Ramah. Sound the alarm at Beth-aven. We follow you, O Benjamin. Ephraim shall become a desolation in the day of punishment. Among the tribes of Israel, I make known what is sure. The princes of Judah have become like those who move the landmark upon them. I will pour out my wrath like water. Ephraim is oppressed, crushed in judgment, because he was determined to go after filth. But I am like a moth to Ephraim, and like dry rot to the house of Judah. When Ephraim saw his sickness, and Judah his wound, then Ephraim went to Assyria, and sent to the great king. But he is not able to cure you, or heal your wound.
For I will be like a lion to Ephraim, and like a young lion to the house of Judah. I, even I, will tear and go away. I will carry off, and no one shall rescue. I will return again to my place until they acknowledge their guilt and seek my face, and in their distress earnestly seek me.
See, Hosea is speaking
Israel and Ephraim shall stumble in his guilt. Judah also shall stumble with them.
for the Lord.
Their flock.
And that keeps coming.
Hosea 6.
Okay. But
let us return to the Lord, for he has torn us, that he may heal us. He has struck us down, and he will bind us up. After 2 days he will revive us. On the third day he will raise us up, that we may live before him. Let us know. Let us press on to know the Lord. His going out is sure as the dawn. He will come to us as the showers, as the spring rains that water the earth. What shall I do with you, O Ephraim? What shall I do with you, O Judah? Your love is like a morning cloud, like the dew that goes early away. Therefore I have hewn them by the prophets. I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and my judgment goes forth as the light. For I desire steadfast love and not sacrifice, the knowledge of God rather than burnt offerings. But like Adam, they transgressed the covenant. There they dealt faithlessly with me. Gilead is a city of evildoers, tracked with blood. As robbers lie in wait for a man, so the priests band together. They murder on the way to Shechem. They commit villainy. In the house of Israel, I have seen a horrible thing. Ephraim's whoredom is there. Israel is defiled. For you also, O Judah, a harvest is appointed, when I restore the fortunes of my people.
See, the
Flop. 10 in the house
idol.
of Israel, I have seen a horrible thing. Ephraim's whoredom is there. Israel is
Okay,
defiled.
trying to speak here, and they keep
Hosea.
shoving them. Idol worship and worship, if idols and foreign gods, of course, is also the song. So you can see is they go together because they where they had their idols, like under trees on the hills and so on, that's where they would have immorality. It was all part and parcel of the false religions. And we see that today. If you look into any of these false religions, most all of them, you will find that idolatry, yes, but also along with that immorality, and that's what we're seeing. Israel in the northern part, and then Judah will go and be that way as well, and the Lord will have to take them away into captivity. And I'm sorry about this interruption that we keep getting coming on here, but at this point I can't really change it. So we'll just keep going, and we have a couple more chapters here at least.
7. When I would heal Israel, the iniquity of Ephraim is revealed, and the evil deeds of Samaria, for they deal falsely. The thief breaks in, and the bandits raid outside. But they do not consider that I remember all their evil. Now their deeds surround them. They are before my face. By their evil they make the king glad, and the princes by their treachery. They are all adulterers. They are like a heated oven whose baker ceases to stir the fire from the kneading of the dough until it is leavened. On the day of our king the princes became sick with the heat of wine. He stretched out his hand with mockers. For with hearts like an oven they approach their intrigue. All night their anger smolders. In the morning it blazes like a flaming fire. All of them are hot as an oven, and they devour their rulers. All their kings have fallen, and none of them calls upon me. Ephraim mixes himself with the peoples. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Strangers devour his strength, and he knows it not. Gray hairs are sprinkled upon him, and he knows it not. The pride of Israel testifies to his face. Yet they do not return to the Lord their God, nor seek him for all this. Ephraim is like a dove, silly and without sense, calling to Egypt, going to Assyria. As they go, I will spread over them my net. I will bring them down like birds of the heavens. I will discipline them according to the report made to their congregation. Woe to them, for they have strayed from me. Destruction to them, for they have rebelled against me. I would redeem them, but they speak lies against me. They do not cry to me from the heart, but they wail upon their beds. For grain and wine they gash themselves. They rebel against me. Although I train and strengthen their arms, yet they devise evil against me. They return, but not upward. They are like a treacherous bow. Their princes shall fall by the sword because of the insolence of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt.
They were going to Egypt and other places to try to get help instead of to the Lord. Chapter 8.
Hosea 8. Set the trumpet to your lips. One like a vulture is over the house of the Lord, because they have transgressed my covenant and rebelled against my law. To me they cry, My God, we, Israel, know you. Israel has spurned the good. The enemy shall pursue him. They made kings